have seen players in our league try to like toughen up Caitlin. I know the talks that Phoenix had in the locker room of like, no, we're going to prove her, we're going to show her what the W really is. I'm like, what are people doing? It's just too much.
When the WNBA slapped Sophie Cunningham with a hefty fine, they probably thought that would be the end of it, but they clearly underestimated her fire. However, what happened next was pure fire, on and off the court. Instead of retreating, she came out swinging and stormed back onto the court with a vengeance, and the Las Vegas Aces, defending champs and league darlings, were the ones who took the hit. So, how did Cunningham pay back? Join us as we uncover Cunningham's shocking response to the WNBA's decision to fine her. Sophie Cunningham fine. In recent weeks, Sophie Cunningham has been making headlines. Known for her fierce honesty and bold personality, Cunningham has become one of the most outspoken voices in the WNBA. She's never been one to hold back, whether it's about expansion cities or league policies, and now that fiery spirit has landed her in hot water. It all began when Cunningham openly criticized the idea of WNBA expansion into cities like Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia, suggesting players wouldn't be thrilled about the move. But things escalated further when she took to TikTok to poke fun at the league's officiating. The video caught the attention of the WNBA brass, and in response, the league fined her $500 for what they deemed inappropriate commentary on the referees. Instead of backing down, Cunningham fired right back, this time on X. She acknowledged the fine but did so with a sarcastic grin. "I got fined $500 for this TikTok," she posted, adding that she found the entire situation amusing. Then, she took aim at the league itself, calling out what she saw as misplaced priorities. "There are way more important things going on in the league right now," she said. "And this is what they're worried about?" Though she didn't name it directly, Cunningham was likely referring to the ongoing collective bargaining agreement (CBA) negotiations, a major issue that has become increasingly tense. During the recent All-Star game, players made their message loud and clear by wearing shirts that said, "Pay us what you owe us." Cunningham has been one of the most passionate voices pushing for better salaries and improved treatment of players across the league. Despite nursing an ankle injury earlier in the season, Cunningham has averaged 7.3 points and 4.1 rebounds per game. The Fever, meanwhile, have reached a 12-12 record as the second half of the season gets underway. Through all of it, Cunningham has remained one of the team's most visible and vocal figures. Her fierce confidence and charisma have won over fans, making her not only a leader on the team, but also a rising media personality in the sport. Her social media presence speaks volumes. Sophie has built an Instagram following of over 1.1 million, and her fan base continues to grow. Whether she's sharing a post-game moment, joking with teammates, or clapping back at criticism, Cunningham knows how to keep attention, and she's using her platform to challenge the WNBA's status quo. She didn't mince words about the league's decision to punish players for what she sees as harmless content. If a player posts a lighthearted TikTok and gets fined, but refs can make game-changing bad calls with no consequences, then clearly something's wrong, she wrote. This feels petty, cheap. She argued that the league should be focused on improving officiating instead of policing social media. Cunningham has also continued to engage fans with her humor and personality in interviews and fan question and answer. When asked who on the team would get taken out first in a horror movie scenario like Stranger Things, she quipped that Caitlin Clark would be the first to go, because she'd be laughing too much. She poked fun at her teammates, Sydney, Tosh, Kelsey, and KK, for various reasons, showing just how much camaraderie she shares with them. In a lighthearted moment, she was also asked which WNBA player she'd start a business with. Her answer? Veteran Diana Taurasi, because she has the money. Sophie imagined the business as a luxurious yacht venture with drinks, sunshine, and good vibes, all funded by Taurasi's wallet, not hers.
you were going to start a business with another WNBA player, who would it be?
Dude, I like that. I'd probably go Diana Taurasi because she has the finances, and then the business would be like being on a yacht, on a boat, on a lake, or on the ocean. You know, drinks flowing, you're getting a nice tan, but definitely on her budget, not mine.
And when asked about her sudden hot streak in a recent game, going 4 for 5 from the three-point line after struggling in earlier matches, she gave a down-to-earth response. "It's about dang time," she said with a smile. With her family in the stands that night, including her sisters and best friends, Cunningham felt inspired to finally shake off her slump. So, how did Cunningham deliver her payback on her own terms? Let's find out. Cunningham vengeance on Las Vegas Aces. Just a day after falling to the New York Liberty, the Indiana Fever found themselves caught in more drama, this time off the court. Sophie Cunningham revealed she was fined once again by the WNBA, this time for a TikTok video where she lip-synced to Sabrina Carpenter's song Man-Child while mocking the referees.
Or is it slow? Maybe it's useless.
In the clip, she jokingly called them slow, clueless, and useless. The league didn't find it funny, but over 150,000 fans online certainly did, backing Sophie's boldness. With that controversy swirling, the Fever prepared to face the visiting Las Vegas Aces. There was hope that the referees would tighten up after being publicly called out, but instead, the officiating remained a sore point. Indiana's head coach, Stephanie White, was given a technical foul after erupting at the refs, while the team's injured star player showed visible frustration from the bench. Still, despite the questionable calls and missing Caitlin Clark, the Fever delivered a gritty and unforgettable performance. Sophie Cunningham played like she had something to prove. She racked up 15 points, nailing 3 clutch three-pointers that sent a clear message: keep the fines coming, she'll just keep scoring. The game opened with Alyssa Boston muscling her way through the defense, battling a 3-time MVP with confidence. Soon, Sophie and teammate Ari McDonald ignited fireworks of their own by draining back-to-back threes. Kelsey Mitchell joined the fun with a slick drive, slicing through the defense and finishing with finesse, while Mitchell later beat the shot clock with a bold move to the rim. The first quarter ended with the teams locked at 18 apiece, despite the Fever showing strong early momentum. Then came Aja Wilson for the Aces, going on a scoring tear and overwhelming Indiana's interior defense. On one possession, when AB tried to drive, Aja wrapped her up completely, but the officials called it a jump ball instead of a foul. And when Mitchell drove hard and got hit with no whistle, Coach White had seen enough and exploded in frustration, earning herself a technical. But her fiery outburst lit a spark in her team. Moments later, Sophie picked off a pass, setting up Kelsey for a wide-open 3 from the corner. B and Howard joined the deep shooting barrage with smooth strokes from beyond the arc. Although Indiana stormed back, Las Vegas held a narrow lead at halftime, 41-35. Down by 6 heading into the third quarter, the Fever came out swinging. Natasha Howard drove to the basket, scored with contact, and converted the and one. She cleaned up a missed fast break layup and then outmaneuvered teammate Nalissa Smith in the post with a smooth bucket. As Indiana's offense picked up speed, Sophie dropped more triples, and Ari and Kelsey added to the onslaught. To cap off the quarter, Mitchell burst toward the rim for a dazzling reverse layup, giving Indiana a 62-56 lead. In the fourth, Mitchell kept the energy high, earning an and one and sinking a deep 3 while locking eyes with the bench in celebration. Lexi Hull locked up Jackie Young on defense, showing grit and determination. A B kept hustling even when the officials swallowed their whistles, and Kelsey fed Boston on a cutting dive to the hoop. Then, to seal the win, Ari stepped back and drilled a deep jumper that dropped her defender to the floor. When the buzzer sounded, the Fever had secured an impressive 80-70 victory. This crucial win gave Indiana a 2-1 edge over the Aces in their season series, meaning they now own the playoff tiebreaker should both teams finish with the same record. The performance was a true team effort, with 4 players hitting double digits. Kelsey Mitchell led the way with 21 points. Sophie Cunningham followed with 15, hitting 3 out of 4 from beyond the arc. The Fever's front court was equally dominant. Natasha Howard delivered 18 points and 13 rebounds, while AB posted a double-double of 13 points and 10 boards. What stood out the most, however, was how the Fever proved they could win big games, even against elite teams, without Caitlin Clark. They showed resilience, balance, and belief in each other. The only challenge left is maintaining that level of intensity night after night. As Coach White later said, the team no longer thinks in terms of with or without Caitlin. They've built enough trust and rhythm to adapt to either scenario, and that confidence is showing on the court. What was Cunningham's opinion on the All-Star game? Were there irregularities in officiating? Let's take a closer look. All-Star Weekend game. During All-Star Weekend, the rest of the league finally got a glimpse of what certain teams experience every day. A strong, supportive community and an electric atmosphere. It was all love from beginning to end. The real stars, though, were the fans and the local community, who pulled off an unforgettable all-star event. They didn't just host, they delivered something special. Reflecting on the All-Star Weekend, Cunningham called it a success. "Indiana really showed up," she said, praising the fans for their unwavering support and loud presence. When you compare the experience to previous years, the difference is striking. The speaker had hosted back-to-back All-Stars, first in Phoenix, now here, and each had its own vibe. Phoenix brought the chaos of Scottsdale nightlife, buzzing with energy after dark. But this year's event had its own charm. The downtown bars, venues, and entertainment spaces exceeded expectations. Everything ran smoothly, and the whole city felt alive. The community showed up in full force, and their support made the event feel like a celebration of basketball and togetherness. As soon as the All-Star festivities wrapped up, it was straight back to practice. Unlike teams that had to catch flights, being local gave a small advantage. No travel stress, no jet lag. Still, it wasn't easy. The players barely had time to catch their breath before jumping back into training. But getting back into motion helped. All-Star Weekend, for all its glitz, can be physically draining. Between events, appearances, and mingling, it's more of a social marathon than a vacation. So it actually felt good to sweat again, to get the blood pumping and shake off the stiffness. The number of events and activations was intense. Some players seemed to be everywhere, on every panel, in every commercial, part of every partnership. But that also revealed something deeper. The visibility of WNBA athletes is rising fast. Brands are paying attention, and more importantly, they're investing. These partnerships mean income, exposure, and opportunity. Sponsors and endorsers are beginning to understand the value of WNBA players, not just as athletes, but as personalities, role models, and cultural figures. It reflects how far the league has come and how powerful its players have become, both on and off the court. Even with all the excitement, players still look forward to the brief window of rest that comes after All-Star Weekend, especially in Olympic years. That short break is a chance to breathe before diving into the demanding second half of the season. But this year, the break felt almost non-existent. Games picked back up quickly, and many players barely had time to recover. Some of the league's top names, like Kelsey Plum, Alyssa Thomas, and Caitlin Clark, were still stuck in practices and commitments, while others tried to recharge. These are star players, carrying the league's spotlight, and yet they didn't really get a true break. There's growing talk that the WNBA should reconsider its schedule. Extending the All-Star break, even by just 2 days, could go a long way in helping players rest and deliver better performances when they return. More rest isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for maintaining high-quality play and long-term health. The current format feels rushed, and many believe there's room for improvement. Then there's the broader question of the season itself. 44 games packed into a short window leaves little margin for error. Some believe it's time to stretch the calendar out, allowing for more recovery time and higher-level games. But that change would require more support from the league, especially in terms of compensation. As one player bluntly put it, "You can just tell Kathy Engelbert, the commissioner, to pay us, and then we can talk." Heading into the second half of the season, the focus is crystal clear. Consistency is key. Every possession matters, every defensive stop is critical. It's not just about individual brilliance, it's about playing as a tight, united force. Defense has to be sharp, aggressive, and relentless. When that happens, the wins follow. But the first half of the season wasn't up to standard. And now, there's no room for excuses. Everyone needs to step up, lock in, and play with purpose. Beyond the court, there's a message that can't be ignored. The league should be lifting up its players, not penalizing them for creating content or expressing themselves. Finding someone $500 over a TikTok isn't leadership. It's a distraction from the real issues. If the WNBA wants to grow, it must focus on what truly matters: accountability, especially when it comes to officiating, and genuine support for the players who give everything to the game. But was this the first time Cunningham spoke her mind about the game? Let's find out. Cunningham's live TV outburst. Every time Sophie Cunningham grabs a microphone in an interview or steps onto the court for the Indiana Fever, something powerful unfolds. There's no pretending, no polished speeches or sugar-coated words, just bold, unfiltered truth. And lately, that honesty has hit with the force of a thunderclap. After another tough loss during a recent team press conference, Cunningham didn't try to smooth things over. She looked reporters square in the eyes and spoke from the heart. She admitted what many fans had been thinking. The Fever's up-and-down performances were becoming hard to watch. One moment, the team looks sharp and explosive. The next, they're falling apart. "We have good spurts," she said honestly, then followed it up with the real question. Why are we not being consistent? It wasn't just a passing thought. It was a challenge, clear, public, and direct. Cunningham wasn't just frustrated. She was calling for change. With the same fierce tone, she backed her coach's message. The Fever owe it to their fans, the ones who show up night after night, hoping for something better. "We owe them," she said firmly, making it clear that this isn't just about stats or standings, it's about pride. Then, she fired off a pointed statement about the team's poor shooting. "We're never going to shoot 30% again, I hope." That wasn't just hopeful thinking. That was a dare to her team. She knows the Fever have too many talented scorers to keep settling for bad shooting nights. To understand how serious that is, you have to look at their season so far. The Fever has been all over the place. One night, they stun powerhouses like the New York Liberty. Next, they fall flat against weaker teams. And when they suffered a blowout loss to the expansion team, the Valkyries, Cunningham didn't hold back. She said out loud what others were too afraid to voice. "We're running out of time." She wasn't sugarcoating it. She was lighting a fire. "It's time to light a fire under our butts," she declared. Cunningham doesn't just talk tough. She shows up when it counts. In the preseason opener, with rising star Caitlin Clark sitting out, it was Cunningham who rose to the moment. She sank the crucial free throws that pushed the game into overtime. The Fever ended up with a hard-fought 79-74 win. Teammate Kelsey Mitchell didn't mince words. "That's Sophie Cunningham. She's a dog." Coach Stephanie White agreed, praising Cunningham as a gritty competitor who brings versatility and toughness, and someone the team will lean on all season long. When she arrived in Indiana back in January after a major trade, Cunningham made her intentions crystal clear. She didn't come to sit on the bench or go unnoticed. "I saw a team ready to break through," she said. "I thought, heck yeah, we're about to go win a championship." This wasn't blind optimism, it was conviction. With rising stars like Caitlin Clark and experienced leaders like Natasha Howard and Dana Bonner, she believed Indiana had the pieces. and Cunningham's style is simple but powerful. Work hard, tell the truth, and expect better. That fire showed on the stat sheet too. In a recent game against the Atlanta Dream, Cunningham exploded for 16 points and 10 rebounds, her first double-double of the season. Afterward, she laughed and said, "It's about dang time." That's the kind of self-push she applies not just to herself, but to everyone around her. Her interviews aren't just for show. They're not just quotes to fill headlines. They're messages, fuel for her teammates, fire for the fans. When she said the Fever needed to play better for the crowd that fills the arena, she wasn't pleading, she was declaring. When she said the team won't keep shooting poorly, she wasn't wishing, she was expecting. Sophie Cunningham speaks with a purpose. Every word is aimed at cutting through the noise and waking up a team that sometimes drifts. She refuses to let excuses take root. How did the players on the bench and the fans in the stands respond to that unforgettable moment? Let's dive into the reactions from her teammates and the crowd. Teammate and fan reactions. When Sophie Cunningham stepped up and said on live television, "No more motion offense," it wasn't just frustration boiling over. It was a bold and electrifying declaration, one that jolted the Indiana Fever, and maybe even the entire WNBA, out of a dull and dragging rhythm. In just 6 sharp words, Sophie voiced the quiet frustration that had been simmering beneath the surface for weeks. Her team had been spinning its wheels, running the same plays, the same offense, with no fire and no change. But Sophie didn't whisper her thoughts or sugarcoat her words. She dropped them like a match in a dry field, and the reaction caught like wildfire. That single statement became a turning point. Almost immediately, it echoed across the league. Caitlin Clark, one of the most high-profile rookies in recent memory, quickly reposted the clip on X, adding just 4 powerful words, 100% with you. Simple, strong, and unshakably clear. In just that short sentence, Caitlin threw her support behind Sophie, and it hit hard. Rookies rarely speak out, especially when team tensions are already thick in the air. But Caitlin didn't back away. She wanted the world to know. She agreed. Kelsey Mitchell, a respected veteran and one of the team's steadiest presences, didn't seem shocked by any of it. Cameras caught her smiling as Sophie spoke, and later she told reporters, "That's the tone we need, truth in real time." And Kelsey wasn't the only one nodding in approval. Sydney Colson responded in her own unique way. She turned the moment into a meme, Sophie holding a mic with the caption, "When the truth gets too real for morning coffee." The reaction online was electric. Fans flooded social media with praise. One person tweeted, "She said what we've all been screaming at our TVs." Another chimed in, "Finally, someone's got the guts to speak up in that locker room." On Reddit, a post titled, "This is leadership. This is fire," climbed straight to the top of the WNBA forum. Suddenly, Sophie's moment wasn't just a rant. It was seen as a rallying cry, a turning point, a burst of leadership when it was needed most. Of course, not everyone clapped. Some worried that Sophie had gone too far, airing private frustrations for the whole country to hear. A few voices warned that this could backfire, that speaking out like this might fracture the team even more. But even the critics had to admit, Sophie shook things up. And for a team that had been stuck in the shadows, that shakeup was long overdue. Before long, national sports media jumped all over the story. Yahoo Sports called Sophie's outburst a tactical mic drop. ESPN dove deep, speculating about possible tensions between players and coaches. Debate shows buzzed with theories. Even players from other teams began weighing in. Some praised Sophie's courage, calling her a true leader. Others cautioned that speaking out like that could stir up future drama. But whether they loved it or hated it, everyone agreed on one thing. The Fever were finally interesting again. And for a team that had been struggling to stay relevant, that alone was a kind of victory. In just a few days, everything shifted. Fans who had tuned out were watching again. Sports networks that barely mentioned the Fever now gave them entire segments. What do you think about the WNBA fine on Cunningham and her surprising payback on the Las Vegas Aces? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.